Next up, we have Will Horowitz, owner and chef of Duck's Eatery, a Cajun Creole spot in East Village, and also the co-founder of Juicy Cold Pressed Raw Juice Company. So very excited to have you up here. Sorry.
You guys have to excuse me. I never have allergies. I woke up this morning, I have horrible allergies. So, front row, it's not going to be like Gallagher. I'm not going to sleep, so I'm going to be careful. So again, my name is Will Horowitz. I'm the chef and owner of Duck's Eatery in the East Village, and then Juicy Cold Press Juices. We started about 9 months ago. We're, I think, probably about 200-300 stores. We're all over the place now. So Duck's Eatery, though, is what I really came here to talk about. And you know what we do there? We started about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And actually, let me give you my background. So originally, I went to Naropa Institute in Boulder, Colorado, for Tibetan Buddhism and eco-sustainability. And so I actually started as a sustainability person before I got into cooking. After school, being a quasi philosophy degree major in a ski bum doesn't really make a lot of money. So thank you. I tried. But so my grandparents on both sides were chefs. My grandfather on my father's side owned a old school Jewish delicatessen on the Lansing for about 80 years. And so, unfortunately, it was closed by the time I was being raised, but I still did get to grow up having my grandfather, have big old wood barrels on the fire escape, curing tongues and pickles and pastrami and all that stuff, and doing all the carrots and things. And then my other grandparents lived in half the year in Orient Point in Long Island, where my grandfather was actually a commercial fisherman for most of my life. And my grandmother is a French-trained chef. So I got to grow up knowing a lot about fishing here and food here and really being in love with food. And so after college, my goal was to go off grid, and that's what I studied, was to be completely sustainable and homesteading. And somehow I just got really, really hooked into cooking. And it didn't really start, it started as a job, and every sort of day I got into it more and more, it became more and more of a passion. And so, I did all the years and years of sort of working my way up and traveling and going through the ranks. And when I was able to start getting my own restaurant, it became very evidently clear that I needed to, at least for my own sort of happiness, go back into sustainability. And that's really where, my roots were. And so ever since then, the past 2 years, we've been working and trying to figure out how to set up a model of a restaurant that's affordable, that's doing and cooking everything we want to cook, and doing it in as sustainable as a form as possible. And so, we do all the things. We try to get from good farmers, we have great relationships, we do all this other stuff, and that's almost old news at this point. But what we really focus on mostly right now is techniques in the kitchen. And what we study is heritage techniques of preservation. And that's our biggest version of sustainability right now. Is actually, I just came back from 3 weeks in the Atchafalaya bayous in Louisiana, just studying charcuterie and all this stuff. And we try to take trips like this every year, throughout the world, just studying preservation techniques. And so now what we're doing is we're using those to not only have the restaurant completely seasonal, but we're trying to work with farmers to take on products that they can't move and that they can't sell. So right now, I think our most famous dish this year, I think got awarded with Time Out and JBF and a couple people as one of the best dishes of the year, is a whole smoked goat neck. So Yeah, that's hilarious to me. I never thought as a chef that that's something that I would like have on my list of like accolades, like knows how to make a good cook. But apparently we do. And you know, we go through 200 pounds of just pig ears a week. So, you know, in many cases we try to go for like a whole animal type of sustainability, but in a lot of the cases what we're trying to do is, because most people aren't doing that yet, is go to the farmers and say, okay, well you guys are selling 500 pounds of fillets a week, what aren't you selling and how can I do something with them, and let's go back to the drawing board and let's figure out how to take, you know, this bone marrow or this hoof or this tendon or whatever it is and try to turn it into something that's really, really fucking unbelievable. So that's where we're at right now. And so it's 2 years in and we have almost a zero waste kitchen. So, I mean, one of the great things about studying Louisiana food is that if you gotta throw it away, it just turns into boudin, which is great. It's really, really good blood sausage on the menu right now. But, so, right now, the way that my model works in the kitchen is, I think is really cool, and I'm genuinely excited about it. Me and all my chefs, we all have different apartments and live upstairs from a restaurant, and this is, you know, we have a lot of other businesses, but this is very much our life and what we get excited to jump back into every morning. We are curing all of our own meats. We are hanging and doing charcuterie of all of our own vegetation and produce right now. So we're culturing all of our own vinegars, and we just started a dairy program, so now we're working with a bunch of raw farms in Long Island that we are actually over-culturing and cold smoking and making all of our own butters and cheeses and buttermilks, and then using the buttermilks to ferment the vegetables and so on and so on. So it's like everything is just going right back to the basics. And what I love about this is that people that originally practiced these techniques knew how to live. And they knew how to live sustainably, and they did it for a very long time. And so now I feel like this is the resurgence, is going back before this, you know, second industrial revolution of sliced bread era and canning and whatnot, which has been great and had, you know, dramatic effect on the world, but it's just not sustainable. So this is the mission. So anyway, I'm getting the call. The music's coming out. I gotta work out. Thank you.
I love hearing, you know, when you talk about sustainability in food, there are occasionally these talks we have, I'm always wowed by what these founders are up here doing, and the sort of like courage to like cast out into the nothingness and like fix a problem. But when it comes to like food, and it's just blows me away. I love hearing all the real stuff you guys are talking about. But I really mean hoofs. I like when people can drop hoofs in their talks more, or like single filament pulling in the line for a tuna like the guy before. Anyone have any questions? Any questions here? Crowd of yes.
No problem. What would you say is the weirdest part of an animal that you've used in a meal?
Here, I'm coming back.
Ooh, got it.
Children could be watching, so.
You understand, I spent a long time living in Southeast Asia. Before coming back here to Open Ducks, I was the founder of Spin New York. If anyone knows, it's a weird, gargantuous ping pong nightclub sort of thing. And I was actually a professional ping pong player. So I traveled all around the world, in Nepal and Southeast Asia, doing all this stuff. And before this, I was on permanent retreat in Burma for Buddhism. And what they like to do out there is use a lot of bada for fermentation. And that got a little weird for me. I love weird stuff, but that got strange probably.
That's fair, that's fair. Any other questions? Oh, last one here.
Hi, just wondering just a little bit more more about your cold pressed juice program. How do you apply sustainability and your philosophy to your juice program?
So the only way that we've developed to do it right now is the material we use for our bottles, and having a larger shelf life. We use HPP process, which is, if anyone knows, HPP is high pressurized pasteurization. So you're actually pasteurizing something with pressure. It's like putting something like 60,000 miles into the ocean. It's pretty cool. And then the main way is how we get the food. So unfortunately, it's not the easiest way to set up a juice company by having to constantly change suppliers and change produce and have something that's not consistent because we're so incredibly used to having things right at our fingertips and right there in front of us. So, we're still first year in, but the goal for us is the more buying power we have is to buy larger lots of local produce and try to do our best to cut down transportation. And that's the only way we know how. Unfortunately, the only model that's going to be even close to really sustainable is not going to be the same juice year-round. We're developing ways that we can do a raw juice by freezing it, but I don't know, we got frozen juice.
Awesome. Thank you very much. This is great.